7, you don't want to do the point like right there, right? You want to keep those two intertouch.
Just the X and Y axis. All right, we are now recording. So I would like you guys to be either paying attention or working with groups or doing your own thing, but be working on the practice quiz. Here we go. Geometry, practice quiz 2.3. Number 1 is asking us to find the slope of each line. The way that we do that is we make a triangle underneath our point to the right of the point. We have this right triangle and then we label. If I'm moving from the right to the, from the left to the right, thank you, that means I'm going to be going down 1, right 1. I'm going to be going -1 and then +2. From here, I'm going to go to the definition of slope. Slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x. The change in y is how much up or down we moved. You can see that -1 is how much up or down we moved. So over here, I'm going to say that the change in y was -1. For my change in x, that's going to be how much left and right I moved, and I moved +2. So I have a +2 down here. And that's essentially my answer. I can rewrite it a little bit nicer. I can say negative out front, 1/2. If you had put a -1 in the top, or a -1, or a -2 in the bottom, sorry, that also would have been correct. But you should be checking your answers. I'm pretty sure that's correct. If you guys correct me, that's still extra credit. So you should be the ones, you're looking at the answer key. Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter if you put -1 over +2 or 1 over -2 or the negative out front like I do. All three of those will get full points. The same thing. How do we do number 2? You have to look for a lattice point. Look for where the line goes through the crosshairs. Does not go through the crosshairs, does not. Oh, there it does. It goes through the crosshairs over here. So find where it goes through the crosshairs, make a point. No, 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 no. Yes, okay, so I see that it goes through the crosshairs down here in the bottom right-ish. So I'll make a point down here. Those are the 2 points that I'm going to be making my right triangle through. And I need to count how many units I went down. So I'm counting -5 in that direction because I went down 5, and this is going to be to the right, so this next one is going to be positive. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be right 6. And again, you're starting with your definition of slope. Slope is the change in y over the change in x. Again, as before, the change in y is how much up or down we've moved. We've moved -5 down, or 5 down, so that's -5. And how much we've moved in the x? 6. I can't reduce this fraction. I can't move the negative. I mean, again, there's 3 possible answers. You can put -5 over 6. You can put negative out front, 5, 6, or you can put 5 over -6. All 3 of those are answers. I got that one. It doesn't matter. I'll give you full points on all of those. All right. I know I'm going fast, but I want to get through all this by the end of class. We get out of here. I've got time, 11:56. Got nearly half an hour. For number 3, I'm going to be using a different definition of slope. The definition of slope that I'm starting with now is as follows. It's going to be y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. And I'm going to label my points accordingly as well. I'm going to say, this was my x1, y1. This was my x2, and my y2. Labeling everything really helps me to not make a mistake when I'm plugging in. I still might make a mistake with my adding and subtracting of negative numbers. Luckily, there's no negative numbers for number 3, but I think, oh, okay. Well, you should be careful because I probably will put negative numbers in the actual quiz. But let's see how to do this one. For this one, plugging in, you can see that my y2 is 12, which is going to come over here for my y2. So I'm going to say 12 minus Then I plug in, I need a y1, so my y1 is here, which means my y1 is going to come over here. It's going to be 2. All right, numerator's all filled in. Let's do denominator. Denominator is going to be x2 minus x1. Question? Yeah, go for it. So my x2, exactly, it's going to be 11 minus 17.
Do you want us to turn this in?
No, as long as you're satisfied they got all the right answers, you're ready for tomorrow. And then we simplify numerator and denominator. That top, 12 minus 2 is pretty straightforward. That's 10. Careful in the bottom. 17 and 11, there's a minus sign. So I'm going to do 17 minus 11. I know it's really 11 minus 17, but because one of them is a plus sign, one of them is a minus sign, you're really subtracting. 17 minus 11 is 6, taking the sign the larger. The larger was a negative 17, so it's a negative 6. I'm just going to put a negative 6. I know I'm doing a lot of work out loud, but I like writing less. So be careful with your negatives. We need to reduce. Every single fraction in my class always needs to be reduced. I take off points if this is not reduced. From here, I can divide the top and bottom by what?
2.
Exactly, yep. 2. And I get 5 over a negative 3. Again, that negative can go out front. It can go just in the top, just in the bottom. All of those are fine with me. Nice, nice. Negative 5/3. If I'm getting the answer wrong in the back, you get to call it out first and get the extra credit. I'm hoping that someone does check my work.
Wrong object.
Almost got me. All right, number 4. We're just graphing slope-intercept form. These should be kind of free points. They're one of the easiest questions on the test. We're graphing the y-intercept first. So our y-intercept in this case is a positive 1. So we come up to positive 1 on the y-axis. We'll let back in a sec. Be careful here because the slope here is negative 5, which is really negative 5 over 1.
So just down 5, right 1?
Exactly, yeah. So we go down 5, not up because it's negative, and then the bottom is either left or right, and it's positive, so it's going to be right. So down 5, right 1, let's graph all those points. Down 5, right 1 is going to be down here. And there's another point that I can put on there because this is the same thing as 5 over negative 1. Again, it doesn't matter where that negative goes. I said that time and time again, which means I can do 5 up and 1 left. Yep.
Wait, you went 4 down.
Well, I can count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
From there, I thought it's from 0.
Oh no, you always start from your y-intercept. Yeah, that's a good point to make.
Oh, wait, what?
So you're always starting from the 1, in this case because we had a plus 1. So I'm going to go 5 up, 1 left from my y-intercept. So 1 left, boom, and then I go 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get another point up here. And then I make a line that goes through those points with arrows at the end. That's good enough for me. Do the same thing again in number 5. We graph the y-intercept of negative 3. Just in the notes, negative 3 comes down here. We're all good. On our heads, and then we use a slope. Let's do that analysis of the slope. I have either negative 4 over positive 5, or I will have positive 4 over negative 5. Either one of those is the same thing as each other, so I can say I can go 4 down and 5 right, or I could have said 4 up and 5 left. So let's check. Can I go 4 down, 5 right? Well, if I go 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm off the graph. So that one probably is not going to be very helpful. Let's do this other one. Let's do 4 up, 5 left. So 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 up. And then I'm going to go 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's my final spot. There's only 2 points that can be on this graph. Go ahead and grab your ruler, make a straight line that goes through them. Mine's a little bit off, but I can move it. There it is. All right, that's our first page. Moving on to the second page, unless anyone has questions. I don't see anyone. All right, we got a 2-pointer, number 6. You can't show any work on this one. You either know it or you don't. Anyone that's paying attention and not, I mean, it's fine to not pay attention because you can do your own stuff. Horizontal line or vertical line? Which one is it going to be? Make your arm horizontal or vertical. And people that are basically just raising their hands with the vertical have it, because if I have x equals -1, that's saying that it goes through the x-axis, right? So our x-axis is this one. It has to go through the x-axis at -1, so there's my line. Go ahead and make a line through -1 with arrows on either end. Done. It's that easy. Moving on to number 7. Number 7 is in standard form, so there is a shortcutty way to do this one. Here's the first shortcutty way. Let's find the x-intercept by scribbling out the y, or putting your finger over the y. There's your equation. I'm going to write it down over here. I'm going to say I get 3x is equal to -15. And then I can solve that, right? I can divide by 3 to get x is equal to -5. I don't hear it. So I graph my x-intercept of -5. Halfway done. Oh yeah, Jose sounds like the speed and then looks up. All right, anyway. Now I can hide the x. If I hide the x, I'm left with this equation right here. -5y is equal to -15. I'll write that down. -5y is equal to -15, and then I solve. What am I going to divide both sides on? Someone shout it out.
-5y.
Careful, just the -5, just the coefficient. Yeah. And that will give me y is equal to a positive or a negative? It is positive. Yeah, positive what? There it is, +3. And I graph that y-intercept of +3. We got our points. Make your line. So I'm going to do my line in black. There we go. If there's questions, you can always pause me. I don't see any. All right. The 2, what I believe to be the hardest questions on our quiz. We need to rearrange these into slope-intercept form and then graph it. Here we go. Again, the strategy, I'm trying to get this y by itself. I need to get rid of that 4. I need to get rid of that 16. I need to get rid of that 9x. All of that's going to be moved to the other side. Let's get rid of that 9x first. I can subtract 9x on the right side of the equal to sign. If I do it on the right side, I also have to do it on the left side. So I can say minus 9x on the left side. I can do multiple things at the same time. I can also get rid of this plus 16 by subtracting it. I can say minus 16. Minus 16. If I do that on the right side, I also do it on the left. Yeah, I can say minus 16 on the left. I'm running out of room, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything over here to the right side. Here we go. My new equation, on the left, I have -9x minus 16 is equal to, well, these guys are gone, those are gone. I just have a 4y. Looking really nice so far. All right, I need to get rid of that 4. How? Divide by, yeah, divide both sides by 4. Because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and then I'm just left with 1y, because that's what we're trying to isolate. So I have y on the right side, and I'm going to split this fraction up into 2 different pieces. I'm going to have a negative 9x over 4 for my first piece, and I'm going to have a negative 16 over 4 for my second piece. I can reduce one of those. I could reduce this negative 16 over 4. So that can be reduced to what? Negative 4, yeah, because negative divided by positive, this is negative. I have this negative 4, and then I just rewrite everything else. I have a a y. I can rewrite this negative 9x over 4 a little bit differently. I can write it as a fraction negative 9/4 and then x. Negative 9/4 and then x. That might make it a little bit easier on us. It's the same thing. I hope this fits on the... Oh, it will fit. This will barely fit on our graph. All right, I'm going to graph my y-intercept first. This negative 4, let's graph our y-intercept. Negative 4. Excellent. All right. Just looking, making sure I have enough room for the next problem. And now I'm going to analyze that slope. I have the slope of negative 9 over 4, which is the same thing as 9 over negative 4. You can either put the negative in the top or the bottom. And I'll do the analysis of both of them. One of them will be helpful, one of them will not in this case. In this top, if I have a negative 9 on the top, is that 9 up, down, left, or right? It's going to be down. Thank you, Riley. And then that 4 in the denominator is going to be 4 up, down, left, or right?
Right.
It's going to be right. Why is it right, Ashton?
It's positive.
Because it's positive. If it was negative, it would have been... Exactly. So that means we can do the same thing down here. We can say, that would have been negative 4, so that's going to be negative 4. So that's to the left, and that 9 would have been up. All right, you can clearly see that this one is not going to help us because I can't go 9 down from my y-intercept because I'm going to be off my graph. So you can kind of scribble that one out. That didn't help, but this one will. I can go 9 up, 4 left. So let's go ahead and count up. Yeah.
How do we, because it says like we're at negative 4, like to start right from our y, like the 4 up there.
Yeah.
But why is it negative?
So this was a negative 4 though, right? Where do you see the positive 4?
Oh, I see, because like at the beginning, like the whole equation. Yeah.
Yeah, that 4 eventually went away when we divided by 4.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to rewrite it in slope intercept form, and then you can use whatever you have there to make your y-intercept. Yeah, that's a good question. All right, so let's go ahead and go 9 up, 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We get up here to the height of 5, the y-coordinate of 5. And then I have to go 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the point that I have, right here. That's at the coordinates negative 4, 5. Those are the only 2 points I can make on my graph, and then we connect them with a relatively straight line. All right, one problem left. Does anyone else have a question about number 8? Ashton had a good question. I think someone else can get one. Let's do number 9. Again, the general idea, move everything to this left-hand side except for this positive y. And it's a negative y, which is kind of annoying, but let's go ahead and move as much as we can. Okay, I can get rid of that minus 5 by doing what to both sides? Someone shout it out. Exactly. If I add a 5 to both sides of our equal to sign, then that will be gone. I could also move this this positive 4x right now. Someone aside from Riley, shout out what I would do. It won't be, yeah, just minus the 4x, yeah. Minus 4x, minus 4x. Let's rewrite our equation. We have a negative 4x plus 5 on the left-hand side of the equal to sign. That's gone, that's gone. We still have a negative y though. Negative y is still over there on the right-hand side. All right. How do I turn that negative y into a positive y? How do I turn that frown upside down? Yeah, divide by what?
By 4.
Careful. You divide by whatever's out front of the y.
I mean 5. Oh wait.
Say it louder, Riley. By negative 1. Yeah, if you divide by negative 1, that will make that negative into a positive. So we'll divide this right side by negative 1. If I do it to the right, I also therefore have to do it to the left. So we know that a negative divided by negative turns into a positive, which means my final answer down here is going to be a positive y on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, essentially I just switch all the signs. If I had a negative 4x, it's now a positive 4x. It's going to be positive 4x.
Minus 5.
And it was a positive 5, so now it's a negative 5. Excellent. And just a reminder, our slope technically was a 4 over 1x. I'm adding that 1 because slope is always a fraction. and I can do the analysis in a sec. But first, let's start graphing. We have our slope-intercept form. Let's take that -5 and graph our y-intercept of -5.
Up 4, 1, right.
Good job, yeah. So 4/1 is 4 up, 1 right. And the alternative here, 4 down, 1 left, will not help us because I can't go 4 down. 4 down would be off the graph. So this one is helpful to us. Let's just do that. 4 up, 1 right. 4 up, 1 right. We can probably do a few of these, right? Let's count.
You can do 3.
Oh, I can't. I crafted there. There we go. 4 up, 1 right. 4 up, 1 right. Yeah. I also see only 3 points that I can graph on here. Let's make it like that, and I'll move it. Slope got a little bit messed up there. That looks pretty good. Arrow, arrow,
Making sense for
noise. That is the entire practice quiz. Are there any questions? Well, let's see this. Can you guys give me a fist of 5? How do you feel about this after working on it with me? We have our, oh, well, 5s and 4s and 4s and 4s and 5s, and Josue is at a 5, I'm gonna guess. 5. Nice job, guys. Go ahead and stop the recording.